Hi everyone. Welcome back to Kirstie'sLife. So today, let's add some people. Say hi, Dave.
Hello.
So I'm sorry that I'm gone for about a week. I've literally been so busy with my new job and I've learned so much information. My head feels like it's going to explode. But I'm here today. I'm just going to be sitting in the background, just saying hi to you guys. If you are watching, please say hi. I have missed you guys. So again, I apologise for not being on. I will be on this weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. I don't know yet. But yeah, today we have Dave, and I'm actually really impressed that Dave wants to come and do a live because I'm not sure how good his art and craft skills are. But we have some comments already. And we have another comment. I need to unmute you, but I don't know how to unmute you. Okay. How do I unmute you, Dave? Dave, I think you need to unmute yourself. Dave. You've muted yourself, Dave. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you, Dave. I have turned my volume.
Sorry, how if I actually have the right set of microphones on the system? So, apologies, that was entirely my mess up. And right, so good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. Hi. So, unfortunately, today we're stuck with the ugly face. So, with that in mind, normally I'm on the background, I'm tech support. You normally don't see me. So, today, Kirstie is tech support. This could be an interesting evening.
You can definitely tell.
So, this evening, the plan, well, I say the plan, the hope is to go for a seascape type collage. I will warn you now, my art skills are not brilliant. Actually, they're pretty rubbish. But, fingers crossed, we're going to pull something together that looks vaguely half decent. So, once again, we're keeping the works in business here on Kirstie's Life in Art. So, I've got a nice big A3 pad and A4 coloured paper, which my wonderful girlfriend went out and bought for me earlier this afternoon. So, thank you, Pix. And obviously, glue stick, pencils, scissors were already kicking around. Yes, before anybody asks, they are hairdressing scissors. They are currently the only smallish scissors that we have in the house that are not nail scissors. So, just move all of those out of the way. If you see me sniggering, it's because I've seen a come up before it's actually been put on the screen, so I apologise in advance. So, I have a little bit of an idea of what I'm kind of hoping to do. I am going to be slightly winging it a little bit. So, again, apologies in advance. However, Kirstie is doing what would normally be my job. So, she has got some facts and jokes and puns floating around in the background. And she will be posting those at varying points during the stream. So, I'm hoping you can't, I was going to say, I don't think you can see that particularly clearly at the moment, but I hope it'll come through as we go on. So I've got lovely big bit of eighth paper here, and obviously traditionally your seabed has a nice bit of sand on it. I'm not going for any kind of perfection. I'm not going for any kind of perfection on this. That's obviously, if you want to go for perfection, by all means, at me feel free. But I'm doing it more so you can kind of see it there. It wouldn't necessarily stand up to any form of close scrutiny. However, there we go. So that is not actually showing up at all. So hopefully it will come up a little bit as we go on. I do apologise in advance if you do see the state of my desk. It's yeah. So I am at the desk that I would normally use for work, using almost the exact same setup. So I'd already done an orange layer for my sand base, but I'm going to put some orange on there as well. Just so that way it actually brings things, hopefully helps bring it out a little bit. But also it means that it's going to hopefully look a little bit more of a natural-ish colour. Now, you might be able to see coming up a little bit the fact that some of my lines are a little bit more obscure than others. I'm really not actually all that worried about that, to be perfectly fair. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. For those that have been diving, or if you've ever seen pictures under the sea, with the way the currents move anyway, the sand does naturally pick up some waves and rifts anyway. So going to move on to try and work on more of the seabed layer now. So for this, I've got a couple of shades of blues and greens, but what I'm also going to include, and this is possibly going to go a little bit wrong, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm also going to include a little bit of purple. So obviously, when as kids you draw the sea, or even if you're doing anything basic, we always think of the sea as being just a base blue colour. Now, on the grand scheme of it, yeah, it is blue, but it's not all blue. Depending on where you're in the water, and especially the deeper you go, the darker it is. And dependent on how clean the water is, and the environment is also going to affect it. Things like what type of fish, what type of sea creatures live in that particular patch of water can also actually have an effect on the quality and the colourings of the water, dependent on what they consume, what they leave behind, all of that kind of thing. So that is going to give me a basic nice blue background. There we go. So, and then what I'm going to do is, if I move that up slightly, you should be able to see a little bit clearer. So you can see obviously where I've got my sand ending here and the bottoms of the water. So with my darker blue, this is where I'm going to come in from the bottom of the sea in the sand line. And I'm going to move up. I'm going to get gradually lighter the higher up I go. And again, that's just emphasizing and highlighting the fact, obviously, that the further down into the sea you go, the darker it is. And that's basic. Nick, you're just fishing for views at this point. And obviously that just comes down to the basic science of the fact that the deeper down you are, the further away from the light it is. Geez, I'm now throwing everything all over the place. Please do come and chat, guys, because I'm very conscious that at the moment it's very quiet. At the moment there's a lot of me talking. So as ever, do please comment and chat. As I say, Kirstie's on tech support today, so she will make sure that everything comes up on the screen and gets posted, and obviously she'll be chatting to you as well as when I shut up, which does happen occasionally. Not very granted, but it does happen occasionally. And then obviously we'll go from there. So this is where I'm going to bring my green in. I'm just going to have it side on. And again, where with the blues and the orange and the yellows, I was looking at doing a full coverage and going all the way across my page. With my green and my purple, I'm not actually going to be looking at doing that. This is purely to try and add a little bit of texture and a little bit more definition across the water and the sea expanse as a whole.
I think you're doing very well, Dave.
Sorry?
I think you're doing very well.
Thank you. So that's just to add a little bit of more definition to into the water. As I say, I'm not looking at trying to do anything on a complete coverage. It is purely just to try and get some definition on. On behalf of Kirstie's Life and Art, I would like to apologise for the fact that part of our team is just an idiot. So, a little bit ahead of time, I did get a little bit of a jump start on drawing a couple of my creatures, primarily because I knew I couldn't draw and I'd need a little support. So, this is my first one. I don't know how clearly you can actually see that. Oops, let's come down a bit and move it the right way. There we go. I've got my octopus already go. And what I've also got, if I can hold on to it long enough, I have also already drawn my starfish. There we go. I've also got my starfish. Now, what I did want to do, because quite honestly, I was expecting the starfish to actually be a little bit tricky to draw. When I went to try and do it, however, I realised it's actually a very useful little cheat. So if you ever want to draw a starfish, here's a cheat. And I bet now that I'm doing it on a live, I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm going to start very simply with a circle. From those circles, I'm going to do 5 lines on a star, in almost a star type format, in the same way that you would if you were doing a normal star. Now, what you will hopefully be able to see, and if I bring it a little bit closer, it'll hopefully be a little bit clearer. There we go. You'll see that the lines themselves are slightly curved. I've done that deliberately because that is going to help me with the next bit, which is doing actual arms. So from the arms, this is where the circle comes in. This is going to be the actual body of the star, and this is where all the kind of middle bits of the points are going to meet. Oh, hello, Rex. We've got a surprise visit here from the page map. So there we go. Rex is coming to say hello, apparently.
Rex, come on, hand it.
There you go. For anyone that's wondering what's going on there, Kirstie is in the process of having dinner. You've probably guessed by the way she keeps ducking in and out of the shots. Rex has decided that because Mummy's having dinner, he's also entitled to dinner, despite the fact that he's already eaten. So, coming back to our starfish, which is a bit easier to draw than Rex. I'm not going to try and draw a cat, I'm sorry. So, where we've got this circle, this is going to form the centre of the body. And as you can see on the one that I did earlier, this is where the arms of our star are going to meet and match into the body. So where the lines have come in slightly curved, we're going to match that curve because that is what's going to give the starfish's arm a little bit of definition and some of the natural movement that you would normally see on a natural starfish. So what we're going to do is coming down from the body, we're going to come up a slight curve and then back down the other side. Now, I agree that that's not actually all that brilliant. We are going to slightly redo that one. There we go. So obviously you want narrow at the tip, but as you come towards the base, you want it slightly wide. So obviously it's in the same way as a natural star. Obviously, it's wider at the base of the point than it is at the top. And then the same all the way around. This one is definitely not going as well as the one I did.
It's the pressure of being live.
I beg your pardon?
The pressure of being live.
Yes, quite possibly, and also the fact that it's slightly better. Now, if you do find that your starfish's limbs all end up looking different sizes, don't worry about that. If anything, that actually helps make it look a little bit more natural. In the same way as us as humans within the animal world, no two stars are the same. And that being said, no two starfish have dead straight. So we are going to try that one again. But in the same way, there is no such thing as symmetry within nature. So you are never going to find a starfish that has all four arms the exact same size, the exact same proportions and dimensions. So if your starfish still end up looking a little bit out of kilter, don't worry about it. So I've got my 5 arms here, but obviously my starfish is now looking a little bit silly because he's got a nice big circle going all the way around him. So this is where your rubber comes in. Obviously, a proper artist would actually have a separate rubber. I, unfortunately, am not a proper artist and completely forgot to actually have a proper rubber ready. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in and rub out your circle. Obviously, be careful that you don't rub out the arms. If you do, it's not major, it's not huge, because you can literally just go back over it. Leave the arms, the lines, sorry, that you... the arms that the lines that you've got going down the arms, leave, because they will still actually figure, and the starfish does actually have a line going down the center of its limb anyway. What you are then going to do is starfish do have suckers on them. Now, I'm not going to worry about finishing this one off now because it's actually come out quite badly. I'm not going to be using it. I am going to worry about using this one for the moment. So, moving on. In an ideal world, and if I'd actually been paying attention to what I was doing, we've got up again. What I would have preferred to do is to actually have my starfish close to the edge of the paper, because that way, when you go to cut it out, you're going to waste less paper. We can obviously try and keep it as close to the edge of the paper as you can. Plus, that also makes it a little easier in itself to actually cut it out. As you will notice, Rex has decided that he is once again going to come and join in the stream.
I do apologise.
Oh dear. Thought it occurs to me that Nick's getting a little bit crabby this evening. So, I've started cutting out my starfish. Now, just to try and make life easy for myself, what I've done is obviously I've cut it out from the main big piece of paper that it was on.
While Dave is cutting out, I'm going to have a little. Is that all right, Dave?
You feel free.
Yeah. So if you guys want to ask any questions about how my job's been going, etc., please do either on here or send me a message. I've heard from people this week asking how I am. I'm okay. I'm just very tired, as Dave continues to bounce. I've literally been on the sofa most of the time. Apparently, I'm a bit echoey. I don't know. I don't do support, so I don't really know what's going on, to be honest, Nick. So if you can come down and help, that might be. But yeah. I've also definitely
send us a message. Have a chat.
I think my work colleague is a great fat lady.
Sorry, is that about your work colleagues?
What?
What was that about your work colleagues?
They think I'm a crazy cat lady.
So, as you can see, I've nearly finished cutting out my starfish, and obviously, when you're going through, as you would with anything that you want to be a little bit careful of, it does. Obviously, you're then going to need to be very, very careful. And this will be especially important when we get onto the octopus later, or in a few minutes, because little biological fact for you. Although you see an octopus with 8 tentacles, not every tentacle is in fact a leg. One of those legs, or at least for a male octopus, is in fact his penis. So there you go. So we'll have to be careful when we cut up the octopus in a minute, because I don't know which one's which, and I don't want to risk off something I shouldn't. So I'm on to actually attaching my starfish onto sea scene for now. So I've got a completely separate notepad. This is actually one of my work notepads. As I say, that's not so much of an issue. But that way it means I can make sure that I'm getting every single part of my starfish glued on, and that way I don't get any little bits randomly sticking up afterwards. So I'm going to pop him down here for the moment, I think. So you can see me, I'm sticking on from the center out. And the reason for that is purely down to the fact that that way it's less likely to accidentally wrinkle if I was to actually go outside in and accidentally get this put through. So yes, please do by all means come up with a name for our starfish. I will say straight off the bat, I'm not going to be calling it Patrick, not only because of the fact that he is the wrong colour, but also I don't want to upset either YouTube or Facebook for copyright infringement. We've had enough of that recently. I'm not getting involved in it again. So that is my starfish. And obviously you can see that my starfish has actually got some detail on it with the suckers. But my octopus, I deliberately didn't give any detail on. I've left it as an outline, purely because I'm going to give him some detail in a minute. Because what I'll do is I'll cut it out, but then when I stick it on, I'm going to stick it the other way up. So that way it goes pencil side down. Any stray bits of pencil that I've got on there will automatically then be hidden. Normally, that is what I would have done for the starfish as well. But the reason that the reason that I didn't is that I wanted to give you guys an idea of what the finished art was going to look like when I went to actually do it and show you how to draw it. That's the word I wanted. I apologise, I lost my train of thought halfway through. So with my octopus, you can see that here I have been a little bit more intelligent. I have actually done this one close to the side of the page. Unfortunately, that appears to be where my intelligence in itself actually stopped, because if I was actually being fully intelligent, I'd have actually had it close to a corner, so that way we've then got less waste at the top. But there we go. At the end of the day, this is art. This is not perfection. And actually, at this point, I'm not even going to go as far as calling it art. I think at this point, I'm struggling to refer to it as craft. So, as I say, with this one, Kevin and Karen. Okay, so what we're going to do then, as I say, with my octopus, because I know already that I'm going to turn him over, I'm not worried. I do apologise. I just realised I didn't actually have that on the camera. What I'm doing, I'm not quite so worried for this one about trying to keep to my lines. So you can see here that I haven't actually cut directly to the line on this. As I say, because I'm turning it over, that is deliberate. I love you too, Pix. But as I say, I'm going to turn him over anyway. Now, as I mentioned earlier, obviously, where the octopus has Obviously, whereas I mentioned an octopus has one tentacle that is not in fact a leg. If you were ever wondering and wanting to find out on a particular gentleman octopus as to which one might be which, it's usually the short one as it goes. So there you go, another little bit of useless information for you that you'll probably never use again in the rest of your lives, but it is useful not for a pub quiz. I have seen it come up as a pub quiz question in the past. So whilst I am doing this, as I say, if anyone does have any kind of specific suggestions for anything they'd like to see me try and include on the rest of our on the or as I say, even if it's anything for a future live stream or any of our future tutorials, as we always say, send us a message, give us a comment. You can send a message to the page directly. A couple of you have already been doing that, mostly to check in on Kirsty, make sure that she's still alive and Nick hasn't accidentally murdered her in her sleep, or Rex hasn't thrown her under a bus for not giving him enough treats or something. As I say, if you do have any suggestions for anything that you'd like us to do in a future live, and as I say, that's any of us. So whether it's Kirsty with any of her art, Nick with any of his models, I can't really vouch for any suggestions for what I might be doing, because whether or not I do another collage or anything in future is going to very heavily depend not only on how this one goes, but also what equipment I may or may not have. I do apologise. I've accidentally just managed to completely disconnect myself out of the stream properly. There we go. Apologies. I clicked on the wrong button and managed to completely crash my laptop. Yes, we do have there we go. Apologies. So I do have a couple more things planned myself. So one of those things is button art, which is hi Leanne, which is something that was actually put to us as a suggestion by one of our members. Can't actually remember whom it was. Kirsty, if you can remember, please jump in. Oh, was it Leanne? There you go. So yes, to say, if you do have any ideas, by all means do feel free to send them over. I'm also, and I've already had a little bit of stick for this one, I'm also looking at possibly doing some embroidery at some point. As I say, what I do or do not do is obviously also dependent on time availability and resources. But as I said, we will factor in anything that you'd like us to do. So, as I say, if you'd like, for example, if you'd like to see Nick doing a kit model car, for example, or a specific kit model car, as I say, let us know. I can't promise that we will actually follow through, but we will do our best to accommodate wherever we can. We do have we do keep a list and a record of everything that we are everything that we are not only doing, but we are also that note, which as you can see is a nice thick one, but currently there is an awful lot of empty space. So do please send us some ideas, help us with a notebook, and obviously the more ideas you can give to us, the more we'll be able to get out for you, not only as live streams, but as I say, for tutorials as well. Kirstie, you look like you're wanting to say something.
Yes, I'm going to mute you because otherwise it's going to be echoey. So I will mute you while I'm talking.
Okay.
So hi guys. Hi Leanne. Nice to see you on here. I'm doing all right. I'm quite tired, which is why Dave and Nick are doing my lives for me. Unfortunately, we're having some trouble with feedback and echo. I'm not very good at the whole tech side of things, as you can tell. Dave will probably be laughing at me for this. Dave is better at it than me. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually planning on coming on live myself Saturday, Sunday. Depends on how I feel. But I'm going to go back to Dave now, and I'll talk to you at the end.
So for those of you that are being observant, you'd have seen I've had a little bit of a problem. So my octopus had, while I was gluing, because this is a relatively cheap stick, this is unfortunately this has caused a little bit of a rip and a little bit of a tear. So I've actually ended up ripping my octopus slightly. Again, this isn't major. It's a combination of the fact that it's slightly thin paper and a relatively cheap glue stick, and that is purely all that is. But what it also means is that in the process I've accidentally missed a couple of pieces. This isn't actually major. Not a chance. Absolutely not a chance is that happening. As I say, because you're using a Pritt stick and glue stick, you can glue directly onto the paper itself and then stick to it. It's not going to have that much of an effect. Try and avoid it where you can, because as you can see around here, where I glued a little bit more than I needed to, it's going to actually cause the paper to crinkle. Kind of in a similar way to when you do watercolors, if you get your paper too wet, your paper starts to crinkle up. That's going to have a similar effect on it. Well, apparently I did a really rubbish job with gluing this octopus. Well, I've forgotten what we called it. I think it was Karen was calling this particular octopus. Yes, I think it was Karen. Right, so as I say, for our octopus here, obviously we are a happy, cheerful page. We like to try and be family friendly, all inclusive. So I'm just going to give him a couple of nice big eyes. Well, I say him, it is in fact a her, of course, because obviously Karen. Although in this day and age, we cannot assume. However, I am going to make a female. But I'm going to make her a nice, happy female. So, come in my red. And this one I am going to try and keep quite close to the lines, and I am going to keep quite nicely coloured. And that is just purely because, as I'm sure those that used to wear makeup will vouch, those that like to wear makeup like to make sure they're wearing it properly and that it looks vaguely half decent, at least when they first put it on. So, what we're also going to do is we're going to give Karen some nice eyeshadow. Give me a colour suggestion, guys. What colour would you like her, do you think her eyeshadow should be? Give me some colour suggestions. We've got some orange, we've got orange, green, red, purple, blue, yellow. We've got a couple of options. I'm really not surprised that Kirstie's suggesting purple. So looks like it's back out with the purple then. And let's say for my purple, although yes, I'm still going to try and keep in the lines. Not going to try and make it as vibrant as I was her lips, because again, I want it to be slightly more subtle in the same way that most people that wear makeup quite often would. I'm just going to go in and re-emphasize her eyelashes. There we go. So what I'm also going to do is obviously it's under the sea. So in the sea, you do of course normally have some seaweed. I've also just realised my octopus does not in fact actually have any eyes. She needs eyeliner. Well, I know my makeup skills and they're actually worse than my art skills, so we'll leave that one be. Although I am quite good at painting nails, if anyone's interested, but I'm not about to open up a nail salon. So give her some nice shiny blue eyes as well. And of course, her irises. There we go. She does look a little bit creepy now, but there we go. That just sums up my art skills, really, I'm afraid. So okay, so under the sea, of course, you quite often find some seaweed. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm not actually going to draw it out before I start. I am just going to try and kind of just go with it and freestyle it a little bit. It's very likely to actually go a little bit wrong. However, I'm going to give it a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold my paper in half. And this is purely just to try and make my life a little bit easier. But if this works, at this point that's going to be a very big if. If this works, this means that I'll also get 2 sets of seed at the same time. So what I'm going to do is, going down, you can see that on the end that I folded it, I've left that a little bit open. Sorry, I've left a little bit of a gap, so that way it still stays fixed in, and that will just make my life a little bit easier in a little while. Again, you don't have to worry about trying to keep the gaps neat and the lines even. In exactly the same way, it's nature. It's not going to happen. Plus, of course, seaweed is going to move with the currents. So there are times that you're going to see that your seaweed is going to look thicker or thinner or at a funny angle. Anyway, and obviously that's what we kind of want to try and replicate on here. So I apologise, I've just realised I'm also still off camera. As you may have guessed, I'm not exactly used to doing this, especially on a camera, especially since when that camera is above me and orientated in the exact opposite direction to what it's displaying on the screen. Yes, as Kirstie put up, obviously commissions are always available as well. Send us a message if there is anything that you would specifically like us to do for you. Obviously, it's going to be more likely that it's going to be Kirstie doing it. But obviously, as I say, send us a message for more details, and we will get back to you as we can. Obviously, Kirstie and I have Facebook on our phones, as most people do. And we will get your we will get notified of your message immediately. Please bear in mind, though, obviously, we both work. We will come back to you as soon as we can. We usually will get back to you within 24 hours. In theory, we should also talk to each other before we actually start replying back to you. Otherwise, you may suddenly see that you get 2 replies to the same message in about 30 seconds. This may have happened this morning for another person. So, what I'm going to do is, now that I've got my paper, obviously, that's all nice and wiggly, in a similar principle to what your real life seaweed would look at. Okay, a slightly brighter green, but however, the point stands. What I'm going to do is I am just going to cut along that fold. Again, I'm not particularly worried that it's not exactly 100% straight. For the moment, I'm only going to use one of the strips anyway, and that's just purely based on the available time that we've got, because I'm conscious I'm coming very close to the end of where we want to be. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to take off. Yes, that's the. I'm going to put a fish in. Don't worry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the bits of seaweed that were right on the ends, and that's just purely because, of course, they've got the straight edge that you'd have on the side of a paper. Now, what I'm going to do, and this is part of the reason why I left the gap, is just to make it a little bit easier. Obviously, got my glue stick back and my scrap paper. And I'm just going to put a line of glue along the bottom where I didn't actually cut all the way through. And that means that I can just pick up my piece of paper, turn it over, stick it down at the bottom. There you go. So I've got some seaweed there. Now, I will look at taking some individual separate strands out. So, for example, that one. And then obviously that gives you some more of the natural spaces as well. But what I am going to do in the interim, I'm not going to use that one because I already have a piece of paper started, is just finally, you can't have a seascape without a fish. So, and this is another example of my able art skills. I can't guarantee this is going to be anything close to actual real life fish either. Let's come out there. And that's just gone completely wrong, so we're going to try that one again slightly and try and give it a more of a fin shape. There we go. As I mentioned, I'm not an artist. That is terrible. You guys can't currently see Kirstie. I, however, can, and can see the fact that she's currently sniggering. Now, obviously, had I been a... Good, that was kind of what I was hoping for. Now, obviously, had I been a little bit more prepared, then I would have actually had a few more of my sea creature already cut out and ready to go, or probably thought a little bit further ahead to actually what I could look at drawing in. However, as with the last live stream that we did, we have set this one up a little bit hastily. We have kind of run a little bit off the cuff. Yes, I know that I'm going a little bit long. I'm getting ready to. I'm in the process of wrapping up. Don't worry, Kirstie. It's all good. It's fine. It'll stay under an hour. So, as I say, what I will do is I will probably carry on having a little bit of a play with this over the next kind of day or two. Please don't expect perfection of me, because it's not going to happen. What, however, I am going to do is obviously fish like to swim in the sea. So what I'm going to do, in the same way as I did with my octopus, my fish, I'm going to glue on the side that had the petal lines on it. And that is just so that way they are immediately covered. And I'm going to quickly concentrate on this so that I don't tear it like my octopus. Okay, so last one for the night, guys. What are we going to call the fish? Let's have a suggestion from someone other than Pixie if we can. So far we have Kevin the starfish, Karen the octopus. Who's the fish going to be? And while you guys are thinking, what I'm going to do with my starfish, with my fish, is I'm going to make use of the fact that I didn't glue any of these down. Because fish like to swim through coral. So I'm going to tuck this fish almost like wood for if you were doing some weaving. And apparently we are going to be calling our fish Miranda. So do small amount of detail. So massive, because as I've mentioned previously, my art skills suck. So we ain't going to have this looking like a normal fish. What we are, however, going to do is we're going to try and emphasize the scales that, of course, fish have. I'm doing that with my white, just to try and give a little bit more of a lighter and shiny effect. It's definitely not showing on the camera, but that has had a little bit of it. It hasn't had a huge amount, but it's had a little bit. And of course, got to have a smiley fish as well. Finally, the last thing I'm going to do is going to put in an anchor. I'm just going to put a piece of paper on here to lean on so I don't accidentally tear my coral. But so you got your anchor there. You got your nice little ring to put the rope on. Come down back to the body. And there we go. That gives us our anchor as well. So guys, I'm going to give a little more definition into this, and I am going to leave that there for tonight. As I say, I'm going to carry on playing with this over the course of the next couple of days, and we will get a picture up soon. Obviously, as I mentioned, with some tutorials kicking around in the background, they will get those posted up as soon as we can. I've worked out what the issues are with getting posted, so they should be up by next weekend at the very, very latest. But they will, of course, be up on our Facebook, our YouTube, and the Instagram page as well. They are all scrolling along at the bottom of the screen. If you haven't already, please do like, share, and subscribe to all 3 separate mediums if you have them. If you don't, then obviously just like and share the ones, like and subscribe to the ones that you have got. But please try and share all 3 of them if you can. We would love to try and get as many people as we can involved, and obviously we'd love to try and share our arts and our crafts out as far as we can, obviously as much as we can. As ever, if you have any ideas, any suggestions for anything you want us to include, if you would like any commissions, even if you just want to come and say hi, send us a message. The message board is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Obviously, Kirstie and I aren't manning it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please do bear with us. We will get back to you, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, thank you all very much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here and do my first live with you all. And considering I'm actually a bit rubbish artist, I'd like to think that doesn't look too bad. But again, as always, send us your comments. If you are watching this later on after the live is finished, comment on #replay, send us a message, let us know what you think. And if you do want to say that my art's rubbish, feel free. Thank you all for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Good night. God bless.